Okay, let's do a little bit more about R. So let's talk about input and output. Now suppose that you have a session like this, and I'm going to type in, actually I already did it, so I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to first create an x vector. So that's a vector from -5 to 5. And then I'm going to create a y vector, and that's a vector from -2 to 8. And then if I want to see what these are, I can type x and y. Okay, and now I can plot these, and by plotting them it's going to, by the way, in order for this plot to work properly, x and y both have to have the same length, the same number of elements in them. Okay, which you can see that they do. They have, you can just look at it and see that they have the same. Okay, so let's try plotting them. Just a second. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, let's try plotting them like this. And we get that. Now, one thing that you might have been confused about is that when you do these plots, it only starts where it needs to. So it's needed to include -5 on the x-axis, so it went down to here, and it needed to include -2 on the y-axis. But if I had started like instead of from -5, maybe I'd started at like 10 and gone to 20 or something like that, then you wouldn't see 0 here. So that sometimes looks a little bit confusing. Anyway, all right, now let's use this command. This command here. Now we've seen this before, here the what is it? Let's see, A I think is the forget which one. Well, let's go and check it first. Let's do this first. See which one is the slope and which one is the intercept. I think it's intercept and then slope, but it might be the other way around. So let's do AB line and get help on it. So A is the intercept and B is the slope. Okay? So let's use that fact to do this. So A is the intercept and B is the slope. The first one is the intercept, so this is going to have an intercept of 2 and a slope of 3. And then this tells you to draw a vertical line at 0, and this tells you to draw a horizontal line at 0. So there's going to be a vertical line at 0 and a horizontal line at 0. So that's kind of like the xy axis, right? And then we're going to do this AB line as well. The intercept is 2 and the slope is, so let's try that. Okay, so now we have what did we say? The intercept is 2. That looks correct. And the slope is 3. I guess that looks also correct. So we have this, right? Okay, now you could go to File and save your history, or you could give it another name if you wanted to. Instead of the standard history, you could call it play history or whatever you want to call it. Okay, like that. Okay, and then you could, now the point of all of this is to show you that, let me close this, is to show you that you can run a script, which means a set of commands in R, that have been saved to a text file. So what I mean by that is this. Here's that play history that I just saved to. Now that actually has a lot of history, not just what I just saved. It has a bunch of other stuff in it as well. But I can open it here, and I can see that the end was what I just did. So I can take this, for example, and save it into any text file, like here, create a text file. And maybe I won't use this because I don't know what that will do if I have that in there. But this should do it. And maybe I'll just change this to -3 just to make it a little different. And change this to -6 just so it's a little different than it was before. And then I'll save this. Now they say that you can save it as call it something .r, but you can just save it as anything. It can be a .text file. So I'll just call it learn sync. I'll just call it that .text. Okay, so I have this file called learnsync.test. Okay, now let's go back to here. Now I don't have anything. I don't have that plot here anymore. But if I type this, source learnsync.txt, what it's going to do is the source means it's going to read that file. Now I'm not putting the whole path name in there. I'm just saying learnsync.txt. I didn't say it's in the C drive in this some other folder and blah blah blah, because it's just this is actually in my working directory, so I don't have to tell it the path. But if you put the file somewhere else in some other directory other than your working directory, then you would have to tell it the path. But here I don't have to do that. Okay, now let's see if it worked. So I'll just hit enter. Okay, so it worked, except that it did not. Okay, so no. So it didn't give me the vectors. I thought it would plot out the vectors as well, but it doesn't do that. Okay, but it did plot this out, and this is what I asked it to plot when I did this. So it doesn't print these out, actually. This and this, but it does create these vectors and then plot them and plot this line. Okay, so you can do that. You can have any script you want and have it run like this in this way. Okay, let's stop and come back and do another something related.